Am I the butthole for telling my sister to talk to my parents when she asked why I don't want to hang with her like I used to? When I, 21 female, was younger, I had a good relationship with my sister, 19 female. It was around age 10 when I realized things were always how my sister wanted them to be for the time we spent together. It was always the library, a museum, talking about books, or reading together. Those were her only interests, but I had so much more I wanted to do and enjoyed more. I'll be honest, museums were never fun for me. I was always bored out of my mind and I hated the library we went to as kids. But my sister struggled a lot with making friends. She could talk to people just fine, but her lack of interest in other stuff, like movies, TV, music, video games, sports, art, like actually making art versus just looking at it, was a turn-off for most kids. Especially when most stuff went over her head, and when she was comfortable with you she wanted to share everything she loved, so she would talk a lot about the book she had just read, and she would go on forever about it. One time my family took a trip to see our cousins. It was a 5-hour drive and all she would talk about was the last book she read, and she talked near enough the whole 5 hours about it. My parents did not like to see me pull away from her, and they told me I needed to be a good sister and be her social interaction with someone more or less her own age. They would make me go to the museums and the library with her, where she would spend hours. They would set up story time where we had to read before bed and talk about what we were reading. They would bribe me with extra time with my friends to do it. And if I said no, they would use time with my friends as a consequence. Oh, well, if you won't take 2 hours to make your sister happy, then you don't get time with friends, and stuff like that was so common. My sister thought we were best friends and I was miserable every second we spent doing that stuff. And when I would suggest something else she would say no, X, Y, Z was our thing, and we didn't need to change it. She told me we both loved it. One time I half told her the truth and she got so upset, and my parents made me say I hadn't meant it in that and told me never to say anything like that to her again. And she thought that I was just mad at our parents and said something I didn't really mean. My sister knows my relationship with our parents is strained and she thinks that's why we didn't do that stuff as much after I moved out. But recently she moved out too and she wanted me to go to the museum with her again, and I said I didn't want to. She was surprised and asked me why. I told her I wasn't feeling it. She pushed more. Why wasn't I interested? It was my favorite thing to do. So I told her she needed to talk to our parents about it and I wouldn't tell her more. She was really confused, and now our parents are saying I'm in butthole. I feel bad for not telling her, but I also feel like it should be their job and not mine, and I also have no idea how I would be honest without crushing her. Am I the butthole? Update, kind of. I have been reading through the comments and getting overwhelmed, but I wanted to post this here so people can see it. I will talk to my sister. Not sure how I will talk to her yet, but I need to have at least some honesty out there. I will suggest she should figure out if she was ever diagnosed with ASD, because a lot of people believe she might be. This is going to be very hard and I'm not sure I'll even get to the later part because I don't know if I'll mess this up or not, but I will try. Not the butthole, but your parents sure were. I understand that she needed to get out more, but forcing you to join her on all her favorite activities wasn't the way to do it. They could have gone with an alternating scheme, where one day you chose the activity, the other day she chooses the activity. This was just cruel to the both of you. Their parents are to blame, absolutely. You don't sacrifice one child's interests for another's. Instead of allowing their relationship to develop naturally, they stifled original poster. It's no wonder they have nothing in common now. Not to mention the sister also got screwed at the end. Instead of exploring other interests and meeting other kids to become friends with, and actually building authentic good relationships, she kept relying on original poster for that support, and now she doesn't have it because original poster never wanted to do those things. Not the butthole. She definitively got screwed. All those cherished memories with her best friend, how lucky was she to have found a sister soul who's actually her sister, who loves the same things, loves going the same places, shares so much together? And to find out that, the whole time, your best friend resented you. Was bored. Had nothing in common. Sat and stewed in silence while you chattering on about crap she doesn't give a F about. All those memories are ruined and tainted now by the reality of the situation. They were never soul sisters, just one coerced, miserable kid who had to be threatened and bribed into spending time with you. I would be so humiliated, so hurt, and betrayed by the situation. Add in the possibility of being on the spectrum. My bestie from high school is an ASB and they sound similar as F, down to the tunnel vision interest and not getting other people don't feel the same unless explicit as F, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Op is absolutely not the butthole and the biggest victim in all of this, but goddamn, I feel so bad for the sister. This is a horrible situation the parents put them both in, wow. Yeah, very well said. This is one of the saddest posts I've ever seen about a sibling dynamic. It makes me so sad for both of these young women. Their parents made original poster a effing support animal for her sister with no say in anything they did. The sister hasn't learned how to engage about other people's interests, so she's completely stunted socially, and as a commenter above stated, all of her great memories with her sister are now potentially about to be ruined. It's just sad all around. Op is not the butthole, but neither is her sister. Edit, sister doesn't know yet, but original poster is going to talk to her. Yep, bang on. And while I don't like online diagnosis because it's generally several shades of bull, I agree. She sounds like she's on the spectrum and never got proper support for it, just a sister who really didn't want to be there. Rotten for both of them. Blasted parents in this case, person facepalming, female sign. Wish I could give you an award for this. This is traumatizing stuff for Op's sister. It would be really hard to trust again. I really hope original poster can find a way to tell her sister without hurting her, and honestly her parents are the biggest TA I've seen on this sub. Absolutely not the butthole. Given how her sister is, perhaps a logical approach would work. First, tell the sis that, while original poster wants to spend time with her, a lot of the stuff she thinks original poster likes are just things their parents forced original poster do to. But she would like to find some common ground now. Maybe each rate possible activities on a scale from 1, dislike, to 10, love, saying that clearly museums are a 1 since original poster rejected that out of hand. Something that's both fun and learning related might be the overlap original poster is looking for. Maybe something like an ungraded hour a week class in something, or spending time in nature, where original poster can enjoy it and sis can focus on an informational aspect like birdwatching. But I'm no expert, and, honestly, original poster might want to seek an expert out, since this is a tough one. I agree with this and I feel so bad for original poster and the sister. Poor kids. Op's parents get 10/5 buttholes. Whereas Op, I feel you deserve 0.5 buttholes. Others may disagree. This is one of the more depressing posts I've seen in a while. Original poster is not the butthole, and I feel bad for her being stifled growing up. But I also feel terrible for her sister. The betrayal she must feel is unfathomable. All because their parents couldn't figure out how to naturally foster a positive sibling relationship and decided to go with blunt force. The fact they made it to where, if she didn't then her fun time got taken away. It shouldn't have been like that. We all have definitely done stuff we didn't want to. Like stuff my sisters like to do. While I didn't want to do it, I didn't hate it. Because I knew when I got older, we would drift away. But I wasn't forced or punished. I did it, because I knew she was an oddball lol. Seriously. If there were museums and libraries, there had to be programs that the sister could have taken part in where she might have met people with similar interests. And it's not like the internet wasn't a thing their entire lives. Surely, the parents could have found something. There are. My parents signed me up for stuff like that a lot. I was like Op's sister, though not exclusively into just books and museums. My little sister was not into those at all. But our parents let us pursue our own interests. They did encourage us to try everything we could in our local parks, and rec had tons of offering for kids: tennis, ballet, science, art, even baton twirling and volunteering at our local zoo. But quite often, my dad would take me to the library and mom would take my sis shopping, or whatever. We were never forced to do stuff we didn't like. Yeah, the sister could have found other people just as interested in what she is, or the parents could have encouraged her to engage in some things that original poster enjoyed as well. The parents completely nuked the relationship by trying to force it when it could have been a genuinely good relationship where the sister learned how to engage in the interests of others, which would have helped her a lot with making friends. This is just really sad to me. Yeah, I do really feel for her, honestly more than for original poster. I can understand that it would be emotionally exhausting for original poster to explain her side to her sister, and that original poster resents the prospect of devoting any more energy to her sister after having been forced to sacrifice so much. But her sister was also robbed of the ability to have friends, and really in a much more insidious and permanent way than original poster was. Of course, I see the temptation of telling sister to seek an explanation from their parents, but the point of that is to try and force the parents to sit with the consequences of their actions, which they won't do. They just lied and will continue to lie, and Op's sister's life will only become more lonely and confusing if original poster never tells her own side. Original poster needs to decide if she's willing to devote more energy to helping her, but this time on her own terms. This is so incredibly painful to read because once the sister finds out the truth, even if she is able to start making friends on her own, all her future friendships are going to be tainted by the fear of, are they just pretending like my sister did? She's probably never going to feel truly comfortable and secure in friendships after this, which is so cruel and unfair to her, but she needs to understand to have any sort of closure. There's no winning here. Honestly, sounds like family therapy might be the only way to reconcile at this point, especially if the sister might have difficulty understanding that it's not entirely personal, it's just that people genuinely have different interests. Precisely. You took the words right out of my mouth. She also does not have the skills to do this now either. This sucks so badly. Agree, not the butthole. Now I don't feel so bad for coaching my son about trying to find things we all like, or not always doing what only he wants. The sister's behavior is a typical Asperger's trait. All-consuming focus on one activity. It's not as common in women, but it is a thing. A friend of mine was like this with food. You could absolutely not talk to her about anything except food and wine. Nothing. Zero. It is actually not known for certain that ASD is more common in boys/men, it has just historically been severely underdiagnosed in girls. This is starting to shift as schools, doctors etc. get better at recognizing the signs that ASD tends to present in girls. We may find that things even out more over time. Was just coming down here to mention this. I was just diagnosed with Asperger's at the age of 36, and hot damn it has helped me so much in understanding why I was so socially awkward and no one wanted to be around me when I was younger. Not the butthole, but it sounds like this isn't your sister's fault, original poster. You need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with her, tell her the whole truth. I also recommend telling her about the possibility she may have ASD. It'll crush her now, but in the long term, it will change her life. I wish I'd known when I was her age. It would have literally changed my life, and saved me so much heartache over the years. Good luck. It's exactly as common in women. It's just diagnosed much less often because women are socialized better and more and it's easier to hide it. I was literally just thinking this. It sounds a lot like she has ASD in some form and your parents just never did anything about it. I know it wasn't as commonplace or understood like 10 years ago, but the fact that she just couldn't socialize and had no other interests should have clued them into something. Not the butthole, by the way. I don't think your sister is either. Your parents for sure are. Not the butthole, and neither is your sister, but oh boy are your parents buttholes. I feel awful for you, but also for your poor sister. It's cruel that your parents enabled her in such a way that she wasn't able to develop socially as she should have, and I expect that will make her life very difficult. She is absolutely not your responsibility, and I would understand if you needed to just withdraw from this situation entirely, but I recommend talking to her yourself. Your parents are clearly too blinded to tell her an honest account of what happened. I think an explanation coming from you might be the reality check she needs, and perhaps from there you might be able to develop a more equal sister relationship. Out of interest, has your sister ever been diagnosed with anything? I'm no expert and I may be way off the mark here, but based from what little you wrote in your post, it sounds like she might be autistic. I also felt like something was missing. Why did the parents coddle the little sister so much? Why did they never take turns with activities? It's normal for little kids to fixate on one topic, like dinosaurs, when they're little, but that doesn't mean the only thing the whole family can ever do is visit museums and archaeological sites where there are dinosaurs. They include those as part of what the family does. Yeah, it definitely feels like there was something more going on with the sister that the parents pushed onto original poster instead of dealing with themselves. And even if you have a kid on the spectrum, that's how you should do it. Our family vacations have usually included a lot of stuff for our son on the spectrum, but there's also always other stuff. It is important to try and teach the kids how to compromise, even when it's extra challenging. What makes this even worse was holding her time with friends over her head to force her to keep it up. If you have to bribe your kid into bonding with their sibling, chances are, you will only create hate and resentment instead. These parents are just gross. Not the butthole original poster, and neither is your sister, and if your parents call you and offer their behavior, it just proves the point of they shouldn't have treated you like that in the first place. Yeah, that was just evil. Disclaimer: I'm just throwing in my 2 cents as a person who has a younger sibling on the spectrum. A lot of families have dynamics such as this, with the youngest getting away with the most and the older siblings forced to cater to the younger ones. And when you add a social disability into the mix, the results can be aggravated and extreme. My little brother has always been treated as if he is fragile because he has Asperger syndrome. Everyone in the house had catered to my youngest brother because, 1. He was younger, and 2. He was perceived to be weaker and thus more deserving to have his way. Original poster replies: I don't know. I know she was evaluated more than once, but that's about all I know. My parents never said anything about whether she was or wasn't. From your description of her and her focus on certain things, it sure sounds like she's on the spectrum. Original poster replies: I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know for sure. I'm also not the most educated on ASD, so I don't want to make the wrong assumptions or anything. But it's possible. I don't know that my parents will ever say whether she is or not, though. You're not going to get something from your parents, but what about your sister? She's the one who got tested. Surely she knows if she's been diagnosed. Or do you think your parents would keep this from her as well? Original poster replies: I could easily see them keeping it from her. They have done so much to make sure she gets what she wants and to prevent her from hearing the truth that I just don't know that I believe they would say anything. I expect either your parents know or suspect that that's what's going on, but have internal prejudices that means they won't accept it. If or when you reconnect with your sister, it might be something to bring up with her. Your whole situation just makes me so sad. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.